one summer years ago, when I was younger than I am today, 9 years old to be specific, I stayed with my grandmother on her plantation in Alabama. Oh, those were happy days, playing in the lush fields of tobacco, riding barefoot through the bramble patch. It was an innocent time, and so was I. I remember one night, after a supper of chicken-fried ham and boiled sassafras, my granny and I sat on the porch, watching the Alabama sunset and swatting the fleas in our hair. I asked Granny what was the most important thing she'd learned in life. Granny laughed boisterously at my query, then quickly grew serious. For she was prone to wild mood swings fueled by Applejack brandy and 80 years of tightly compacted self-hatred. Granny grabbed my hand with her gnarled stub and looked me in the eye, that is, the one that still worked, and she cleared her throat and said some words I'll never forget. She said, "Always be a proud, upright, beautiful black man." I was floored by this, mostly because we were not black, and I was a little girl. "What kind of inbred backwater bullshit logic is that?" I exclaimed respectfully. "Silence, little one," she replied. "It is as it is. Now fetch me my absinthe chalice." She didn't speak to me again that summer, which was a little awkward, as we were the only people on the plantation. She died not long after that summer, and she and I never got to speak of what she said again. I was tortured for years by her words. I consulted scholars and theologians and drug dealers in hopes of unlocking the meaning behind the mystery. I majored in philosophy in college and got my master's in racial studies, which left me a 6-figure loan debt load and career prospects about as hopeful as that of a convicted felon or a garden slug. I went through 6 marriages, my obsession sucking the love out of every man I used to fund my quest. I drove my illegitimate children away. I frittered away decades of therapy. I drank the equivalent of the contents of a liquor warehouse store. I lost my looks and gradually my mind. Until one day, I was old as grandmother, but I did not have the vague comfort of the plantation, as I had sold it for $70 for a case of industrial Freon and a silk rag for huffing it many years ago. As I sat broken in the state-funded hospice, sipping bran pudding through the straw and cackling to myself about nothing, the answer hit me harder than an indignant pimp. I finally understood the meaning of her words. It was all clear, like a bottle of Zima with a mucus I hacked up on a daily basis. What she meant was to take pride in who you are, and that beauty lies in the self-love. At that moment, I hated the gnarled old bitch, and I hoped she was in hell. She'd wasted 80 years of my life, and then I had a stroke.